Welcome to Israeli Adventures, the podcast that unveils the opulence and charm of the Holy Land. This is Bnei Levine's podcast, your host and the proud owner of Luxury Experiential Travel. Join me as we explore the finest destinations and experiences that Israel has to offer. Get ready to indulge in the ultimate luxury escape.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Israeli Adventures. Hey, Bnei Levine, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Or how are you doing?
Great. So let me firstly introduce you. You are the founder of Let Travel and co-founder of Go My Ever and Black Flamingo. And today we're going to talk about something that happened to every Jewish boy or girl, age 12 or 13. It's the bar and Bat Mitzvah, the ceremony of becoming a grown-up in Judaism. And a lot of tourists and Jewish families abroad wants to do it in Israel. So today we're going to talk about this special ceremony which you and your company organizes. We're going to talk what are the most important things to know, where to do the bat mitzvah ceremony, what to do before and after. I'm going to talk all about that and about planning the ceremony. So let's start with the ceremony itself. Okay, so there are a lot of places to do it. So let's talk about our options.
I think it's for me it's one of the most important chapters to do. Just because when I started my company back in 2008, this was my sweet spot. This is where I wanted to do. I wanted to do tours and events in Israel for 3 generations. I wanted to provide an alternative to a big fancy party with something that is really leaving an emotional fingerprint on every kid that is coming, because it's such an important moment in being Jewish kid in the world, especially not when you live not in Israel, because here the life of being Jewish in a Jewish state, modern state, even if you're never been to the synagogue, even in Yom Kippur, you are still Jewish in the land of the Jewish people, so it's easy. But how much it is affecting and how much is it important for kids that are living outside, for their empowering their Jewish identity. I think it's unbelievable. I have thousands of stories that keeping me driving, doing that. I think there is no one in Israel that organized more bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah trips and events in Israel than we did in the last 15 years or 14 years. It's our 15th year now, just because we do about 20 to 40 of them every single year. Wow. So you can imagine how many of those we did. And I think no matter if you're traveling with somebody or somebody organizing it for you, I think that chapter for me is more about what you need to know when you're planning it and how to make it unique and special and meaningful to the kid itself, not to the family, not to the grandparents, but to the kid itself.
That's the thing, that most of the time people think about themselves and their grandparents and about the family and not about the kid. And this is maybe an opportunity to find whatever interests the kid. Maybe it's its first time to Israel, probably, because let's say if you don't have a family in Israel, you don't really get the travel to come here as often. So this is a great opportunity to get to know Israel, get to know the Jewish people of Israel. So it's a great opportunity. So let's talk about the ceremony. So what are the options we have?
So first of all, bar and bat mitzvah official days of ceremony are Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays. Okay, so we have 3 days during the week where in Judaism we go up to the Torah, and it's no matter if you're Reform, Orthodox, or anywhere in between. Those are the 3 official days. There are opportunities to do it in different days as well, but the main ceremony is basically celebrated by going and reading in the Torah. So you can read in the Torah, and that's if you put a little bit of effort, or as a child you are studying with a tutor or with a rabbi or with somebody that teach you how to read, because the Torah reading is very special, or you just say the blessing and the rabbi is reading the Torah for you. So there is a lot in between. So in that ceremony, this is the ceremony. Okay, so that's it. This is like basically going up, and it can be as short as half an hour or as long as an hour and 15 minutes. Usually not longer than that. Depends on the day. On Saturday, on Shabbat, we have a little bit longer reading, more reading to do in the Torah, but Monday and Thursdays are the best days to do it. The reading is shorter, and then the kids can choose if they read the full thing or just doing one simple thing of reading the blessings. But that's the ceremony, the official ceremony. And it can be done in different locations. Okay, and I think the location for me, like if I spread the idea of a location, like how do we choose location? Because if I said we need to remember, if I need to tell you, just plan your Bnei Mitzvah for your kids and not for yourself, or where you think it's the most important. But like for me, it have to have an historical connection to the Jewish history. So it can be, the most common place is the Western Wall, the Kotel, and it's an Orthodox area, so women and men are separated. We also have another area by the Kotel, by the Western Wall, called the egalitarian section. Egalitarian section is great for a ceremony that you can do together. You actually cannot do a separated ceremony there, but it's an area near the Western Wall. It's the Western Wall of the foundation of the temple. That's why it's so important. Was built by King Herod, and it's a foundation, so there is no temple anymore, but that's the original wall. And we choose the Western Wall, even if we can do it in the Southern Wall, because of the distance to where the temple used to stand. But it's really not matters. And this is the place, egalitarian section is where you can do it. Those are the most common places. If I need to give another example or two with the historical connection, so Masada can be a really good spot to do it, also because it was the last stand of the Jewish people before we get to do an exile for about 2,000 years. There were almost 100 years later, there was another event that really created the exile and spread the Jewish people around the world and around the globe, like the Jewish communities that we know now all around the world. But this is a great historical connection. So you have the last place where Jewish people were free, and now we're coming back in the modern days to celebrate something that is so important, like a bar or bat mitzvah in that place. But it really can be like old synagogues. Like one of my favorite is really like ruins of synagogues that are from the Mishnah time or the Talmud time. So anywhere from the 3rd century to the 6th century, like ruins that are spreaded all around the country, like in Ein Gedi or El Kanatir in the Golan Heights. Several of them are like Beit Alpha with the beautiful mosaic floor. So there are really, really great spots like Tzipori, places that you can do a ceremony and it will be beautiful and have the historical connection. But it also can be something that is out of the beaten track. Like there are some unique places that can be symbolic as well. Like we had a bar mitzvah ceremony for a kid that wanted something that connect to the modern history. So we actually did it in the same area where Ben Gurion and his wife Paula is buried. Or we had twin girls that were into rock climbing, and they really into rock climbing, bouldering and competition, everything like this. And they wanted to rock climb into their ceremony. So rock climbing into a ceremony means you put all the guests on an edge of a cliff. Not a great idea when you have grandmothers and grandfathers in their 70s. So we actually came up with an idea to take a cave, a bell cave that is in the Judean hills. It's about 40 minutes drive from Jerusalem. And there is a cave called the bell cave, means that the form, the shape is like a bell, but there is a hole on top. So we set up beautiful chairs and like a bima and brought the Torah scroll and the rabbi and the guitar player and shofar players. And then suddenly the girls stayed in the back when the guests were coming in and getting ready for the ceremony. And then they were asking, what's going on? Where is the girls? Where is the girls? And then suddenly 2 ropes coming from above, planned perfectly to be landing those 2 ropes in front of the bima, and those 2 girls repel into their ceremony. It left such a strong emotional fingerprint on their soul that probably 8 years later, I'm walking in Jerusalem and, I have my ponytail and I have some young girl jumping on my back and saying, Benny! Like I'm turning around and I straight away recognize one of the twins, and she was on a different program visiting Israel. She remembered it. Like 8 years later, it was as fresh in her mind as like it was yesterday. So I would always say, like, let's figure out who is the child and what can be the best perfect location based on other parameters, like who are there, who is the oldest person, is there any mobility issues and stuff like this, but really try to connect it to the kid, to the child. And sometimes the perfect place is the egalitarian section, and sometimes it's Masada, and sometimes it's a unique location that is built for them. Like that we create sometimes for the first time a ceremony in this location.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds amazing and such a nice and beautiful story. One of the most important things is the rabbi, the person who conducts the ceremony. Let's talk about it. How to choose it? It probably differs between the different streams of Judaism, whether it's Reformic, Orthodox, or some others.
So like doing it for so many years, really, we understand that a rabbi with a family and with the kids is a personal fit. Like it's really something personal. So in order to fit that, what we usually do, we know about 20 to 25 rabbis that doing ceremonies in Israel, and they all in different they doing it in a different style, and they can fit for different type of people. So I think the first question that you need to ask, you've been mentioning that, is, do I want an Orthodox rabbi, a Reform rabbi, or anywhere in between, like something in between? Maybe I don't want a rabbi. I want somebody to conduct a service that is not a rabbi, so it will be a little bit less official, and that's also a possibility. So that's the number one question that we want to have, and that's cutting basically this group of 25 rabbis that we know into 3 sections. Then the next question you want to ask, how is my ceremony going to look like? Are we looking to have like a dress code ceremony with like very official? So we want to have a rabbi that looks official, that is, that will conduct an official ceremony. Or do we want somebody that is a little bit loose and can adjust and can be a little bit more modern and open to more modern ideas? So I think that's the second question that you need to ask yourself. That's what we usually ask the people that are doing it with us. The third question that I usually ask, do you want somebody that is native English speaker? Because you're coming from abroad, and it can be a native Spanish speaker, it can be native French speaker, you got the idea. So, or we want somebody that is Israeli, so we will have a little bit of accent, and we'll have a little bit of this Sabra feel, this Israeli feel. And that's what another question that need to be asked. What do I'm looking in my rabbi? I want somebody that everybody will understand well. One of the things we do a lot, and we see that during these ceremonies, we broadcasting. So the family abroad or all friends can watch the ceremony. So sometimes it's so important because the grandparents couldn't come and they want to be part of that. Over the broadcasting, it's much easier to understand somebody that is native English speaker, even when it's coming with a British accent. So, and we stop for a tea time. No, but this is another question. Then I want to really check, like we have rabbis that are more spiritual and less spiritual. Means, do I look for a rabbi that this my son is more or my daughter are more like spiritual person that will the spiritual connection, the like personal connection will be more important to them, like to connect to that ceremony, because there is a lot of stress on the kids' sides, on the kids' shoulders. When it comes to the ceremony, it's a big day. It's like, no matter how you think about it, when you're 12 or 13, you're sometimes the evening before you don't even sleep. You're a little bit nervous. You need to perform, even that most of the guests will never know if you did a mistake during the reading or not. So I would say this is also important. So those are like 4 questions we ask before we choose the first rabbi. We usually don't do it straight away. So if you like planning a trip with us, we taking the time to get to know you, build the trip first, and then probably about a month and a half into the process, when we get to know the people and ask enough questions about the kids, then we will come to talk about the rabbi. Ask these 4 questions, understand who is the rabbi, and then connect. There is no way that you're going to hire a rabbi to do a bar or bat mitzvah ceremony without getting FaceTime. Not just a phone call, FaceTime. You want to do Zoom, FaceTime, Google Meets, whatever you want, the technology you want to use, because it's really at the end about the connection. And sometimes we choose a rabbi. Most of the time we can hit it from the first time, but sometimes, it's just there is no click. And that's where, if you do it with us, we come in the middle. But also, if you do it by yourself, don't be shy to say to the rabbi, listen, we didn't have a connection. So, and you can also say why. We usually ask, what was the points why there was no connection? Because then straight away, after knowing the first 4 questions answer, we will really know to choose the second one to meet. Usually on the second meet with the rabbi, we always get it. So if we take statistics, so 80% first meeting, first rabbi is like a perfect match by these four questions that we asked before. And then, like with the knowledge about who is the family, but then the first meeting is very, very important, and everybody need to come to relax and set up expectations, what we're reading, how we want the ceremony, what level of spirituality, how is the level of the official ceremony, who is going to come up to the Torah, who we want to bless. The whole ceremony is played with the rabbi, like conducted or basically built as a plan, even if it's sometimes half an hour or an hour and 15 minutes in the longer versions of it. So I think that's the best way to choose a rabbi. And please, you're in Israel, don't think about politically correct. You are not going to offend the rabbi by saying, listen, it's not a good match. Like sometimes just not a good match. And they also understand it. They run those services. They have people that they did it so many times. So it's not offending. It's something in Israel we love to put straightforward. Okay. They might even recommend a colleague that will, be a perfect match based on
what he saw.
Based on what he saw, the connection he feels. Usually it's the same feeling on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. So let's address something that's very meaningful and very on the thoughts and minds of every Jewish person for sure, and of course as an Israelis alike. It's the food. It's the stuff that we all think about, where it's usually after the ceremony, we do a little meal. So let's talk about the options there, because it can be maybe something at the site of the event itself, where but probably if it's a big event like you organize, then probably be like catering or something, or a private chef being done on that event. But it could be a restaurant or some other places. So let's talk a little bit about the celebrations after the ceremony.
So look, celebration, if we take a whole event like how people celebrate in Israel, so we have the ceremony. There is a lot of fun things to add to the ceremony. I'm sure we're going to talk about it a little bit later for the ceremony section. Then we have several options for after the ceremony event. And regarding food, because really at the end it's something unique and special in Israel. So one is to choose, like if you come with a small group of people, then you want something that is special, that is not always like a big an event place. It can be a private room in a restaurant. There are several restaurants that know to cater a small groups up to 20 people in a private space in the restaurant. That way we keep the costs low, but we also comparably low, but instead of renting out a whole venue for yourself. I also love to think about things that are unique and special, that's celebrating it. And I give few examples because, for example, if you do a ceremony, it don't have to be straight away after the ceremony, because if it's your small little group and you don't have guests from Israel, or you brought, sometimes we do, bar mitzvah tours or bar mitzvah events for 200 people that are coming from all over the world, and it's like a free 4 days event, that the climax of this event is the ceremony and the celebration. So I'm putting those aside because those are special events and usually are worked out. People don't plan them on their own. It's something that will be usually a professional coordinator, event planner will be involved. We're planning, even I have few guests that are event planners in Israel that we're gonna interview later on, because they have a great insight to talk about those big events. But if you have a small event, this is it. It don't have to be straight away after the ceremony, because it's a family. So if you're traveling and you're doing your ceremony on top of Masada, and this area is culinary dead, there is no good place to eat near Masada. Like there is no great restaurant or anything. So the options you have, if you do it straight away after the ceremony, the best place is to bring like a food truck, or set up a nice, beautiful setting in the middle of the nature, with a private chef. But this is more on the higher budget level, and here the limits are unbelievable. Their locations are phenomenal. But sometimes you can say, hey, I don't want to do it in that area. I will keep the celebration and split the celebration into 2 separate events. So I have the event, the ceremony, where we do the bar mitzvah ceremony with the Torah reading, and then I'm going to do at the evening or at sunset a restaurant in Jerusalem, so I can hire a private room and have a catering there and have like a slideshow with some pictures and some other ideas that we many times help for people to think, to create something special. Sometimes we even bring a dancing teacher that teaching everybody to dance Ora, and some really fun Jewish songs together with Jewish dances that can be done during the ceremony. We had a family not long ago that invited an a cappella band, that it was really cool, because then it was almost like a hands-on event. So we had a great dinner in this restaurant called Karma in Jerusalem on their second floor, perfect for 24, 25 people, because then you close the floor with a nice balcony overlooking the Jerusalem mountain. So the food is wow, but then you bring a little bit of entertainment, something like this. Another idea can be go to some kind of a restaurant that is outside. Means there is a great place outside of Jerusalem that's called Genesis Land, or the Gazelle Valley, or there is a great two brothers that have a farm also outside with a location that is phenomenal, and they bring the food, and there you can have, and it's outside, outdoors, very biblical feeling to it. The landscape is phenomenal, and then you bring entertainment that is super fun, and it's local, and it's really, when you look on the pictures years later, you will never mistake that it's actually happened in Israel. Because you will be sitting in some kind of like Abraham tent, and you will have drum circle that everybody will sit and have a workshop with drums, with DJ that coming in, and you are dancing together with the drums. Sometimes there is fire shows that we bring in. There is really bring a little bit of entertainment that is very unique and local to Israel with the setting. So this is many times my favorite, is instead of going into a restaurant and locking a room, private room, do it in a place, in a location that will be a perfect memory for that. And maybe one like great example from like last week. Okay. Last week we had a family, total 8 people. So when we worked with the family, the ceremony was decided to be up in the Golan Heights. Now we're talking about summertime. So instead of doing the ceremony early in the morning, we chose an old ancient synagogue from the Mishnah time. So it's 1600 years old synagogue. The reason we chose this one because is the kid really love architecture, love archaeology, and the way they excavated and rebuilt this old synagogue that have the stones, have this beautiful carving of the 7 species, and you literally can see the Aron HaKodesh, the ark where the Torah scroll used to be in the old times. It's done in such a high-tech way, and there is a visitor center, so you literally can go and call them and book it by yourself. We asked to do it afternoon. Like instead of doing it in the morning, we have the ability to bring in Torah scroll, so no problem. The rabbi is coming. Afternoon, when the site is closing. So they're arriving, they're the only one in this synagogue, they're watching the movie, they understand the technique, they get the history. The kid is so excited because he is living his interest. The location was perfectly fit for his interest. And then the ceremony, of course, beautiful, perfect match with the rabbi. We had, before the ceremony, there is really great options to make it even more special. So we usually love to bring 2 drummers, sometimes one of them playing a guitar, and shofars. So we do a walking ceremony. Even with 8 people, when you bring 2 drummers, they make it a simcha. It's like very Israeli. If you go on any Monday or Thursday to the Western Wall, you see them walking with like a chuppah cover, like 4 sticks that the family holds, and the kid is in the middle. He getting that respectful place, and the shofar blowing like in front of the most important parade ever, and the drums and the stopping in the middle for a dance, and then the ceremony finished.
That's what I did as a bar mitzvah boy, by the way. Yeah, that was my bar mitzvah. Yeah,
also
just like that, by in the Western Wall.
Western Wall, and you had a
drummer, the shofar, everything you just mentioned is exactly how. And after that, we took a bus and with all the guests, 50 guests, and we closed the private room in a restaurant nearby. So
amazing.
It was exactly my
and
bar
you
mitzvah.
Still remember it.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the vest I wore. I remember everything.
So you see, like when you create a place where the kid is the center of it in a reality, and it's happy moment, and I have goosebumps, like when we think about it. Well, thank you for sharing. But then we think about what are we doing after that. So if we have a kid that is like this and the family wanted to do something special, we found a beautiful location on top of the Golan overlooking the Sea of Galilee. Now we chose afternoon because we knew what's coming after that. So instead of going to a restaurant, people were dressed nicely, were driving to this secret location overlooking the Sea of Galilee. Sunset time, there was a beautiful table set and a low sitting area with a bonfire ready for later on at the evening. And when they walked in, we prepared with the family a playlist. So we hit the button with a playlist, and the father was sharing with his child why he chose this song, and it was beautiful. And then a chef, literally in the middle of nowhere, creating a private meal so the family can really celebrate. Don't think about I have the table or the space until that or that amount of time. But they can really celebrate and move that evening into around the bonfire. So what we succeeded to create by that is really having a family coming together for a simcha, but then they have a special evening. Like the meal is special, is a private cooked by chef. You have different levels in different price ranges that can be arranged. Even for a group of 8, it can go from $150 to like, I don't know, $500 per person to have that beautiful setting outside. But even if you go on the lower level and you don't create, a lot of decoration or anything, it's just a meal that feels special, unique. It's not something that people do every day. And that's for sure not in that type of a location. It just so many warm words we got from those type of things when you do create the right match, for the family and the event type that you want. For this family, the family togetherness was really important because the kids are in different ages. Like the spread of the age of the kids were really big. One of them are about to leave to college. So that almost like was a last
family moment,
family trip together, because then everybody become busy. I think it is worth to think about a day on your visit. Like we treat it in our company, we treat that day like completely separate from the tour. We take that day and we want to put it into a narrative of the trip. And I think that's something that is super, super important because it's getting the right place. And I have to say that probably today in statistics, 42% from families that came to celebrate their older kid bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah in Israel, returning for their younger kids, because their younger kids remember it and it's so special for them as part of the family that they want to be in that place as well. And we need to remember that many times those families are surrounded by kids that are doing Bnei Mitzvah back at home. So big party, or, like we do in Israel, we have the ceremony and then sometimes we rent a venue and you have 300 guests because it's Israel and we create a huge party. But it's so much more meaningful to do something like this because at the end, it's not just a moment for those kids. It is a very important milestone in their building up their Jewish identity, especially for those that are not Orthodox. I'm just like, if you do it right, it's just wow. Like, or I can sit here for 2 hours, don't want to waste time for our listeners. Like stories, me and my wife, we hosting 20, 25 nights a year. We're hosting kids that we did their bat mitzvah trips, usually when they are an older age in their 20s or after 18, coming on a different program, coming to visit with friends, coming to stay with us. It's just a great indicator how much influence this one special moment can be in their life. Because to stay with, like, I don't know, somebody with his family, no matter how, like, what you feel about it, that is a 40 with such a big difference, it's just meaning something by food, by reality, not by, writing it or making a big words out of it. It's just this is what it is.
For sure. As you said and we mentioned before, an experience is much stronger than anything else. So creating that special experience in a special place for the Jewish people like Israel, with the historical meaning, with the meaning even today for the Jewish people, I think it says and speaks better and louder than any other thing. Is there any gift we can give to the people that listen to us right now?
I think, look, I want to really at the end put a little bit of like context. When you planning an event in Israel, if you do something small like a ceremony, you can contact a rabbi and they can take care of everything. But I want to like tell the secret of behind the scenes of that business, like, because, and then sometimes worse to take a professional to do the job, no matter who is that professional, an event planner, because they do it many times. They know the best photographers, they know the rabbis, they know the venues and the places and the locations for the ceremony and for the meal or the celebration after that. Usually they're gonna save their organizing fee. Like they're gonna literally save you the money, because if you do it by yourself, you are coming again, like the whole industry of tourism. My existence of my company is just because whoever we're working with, because of our volume and because of our personal knowledge and experience with them, we will get a commission. We will get, like a little piece of it for us. So no matter what like all the event planners in Israel, their working system will be like some kind of an organizing fee based on the amount of work they're gonna do. For that, it's usually separated if you're gonna do only a ceremony. So that's a little bit cheaper. If you're going to do a ceremony and then a celebration afternoon or an evening or even at lunch, you're going to continue to another venue that's like another event. So that will be a little bit more expensive. But they will save you the money that they charge, because they know the people, they bring the best quality people in the best cost, by just knowing that. And they also take responsibility that it's not less important.
Maybe
on
more
the
important,
event.
yeah.
Because doing it from far away, I would not do it. Like we did some event abroad in Italy not long ago. We hired a local person to do it for us because there is no value for that. There is really no value for that. So I think I stuck with, I forgot what you were asking.
About a gift.
For me, so look, I want to give a gift that if you're going to do a planning with us, in my company, if you do a planning with Let Travel or Go Me'ever, we have two packages that their cost, like our basic package that give you like the locations, like 5 or 6 locations in different types and different styles that fit, I would guess, for 90% of the people, matching you with a rabbi, taking care of all the suppliers like the shofar, the drummers, the guitar players, giving you a choice of 3 different photographers with their packages that we think are perfect and work in this area. So this package usually costs around $3,600, like 2 times high. Chai in Hebrew is like 18.
Is luck.
Yeah. So I'm happy to give a 50% discount on this.
So only
package.
1 chai, not 2 chai.
Yes. 1 chai, not 2 chai. So $1,800 for whoever want to plan an event if you're going to tour with us as well. So like if you are going to tour with us, we will make enough from our living in order to create that, like the work that is put into organizing and planning one day usually is more than to plan a 10-day trip. So if you plan with us a 5-6 day trip, I'm happy to give 50% discount on our basically the basic package that including the ceremony and everything else. And if you need a restaurant and not a super special venue, this is a perfect package for 90% of the people. It covering everything you need in the event, including locations and all the people that you need along the way. And like I said, we save you the money just because we get special deals from those locations and we get special discounts. If you want to do something that is bigger, if you bring a bigger amount of people, 20 people and above, or you are doing a bar mitzvah that is more complicated and unique location, you want us to scout a special location for you or come up with locations that are logistically more complicated. Because some places, like, I don't know, the egalitarian section or Masada, they have their own Torah scroll. If you do it on Monday, Thursday, or Saturday, they're going to have a Torah scroll that you can use by small donation to the organization. You're closed. But if you are doing it in other places like the En-Gedi synagogue or like the place in the Golan, so you need to bring Torah scroll in. It is like just one small thing that it sounds simple. Rent a Torah scroll, put it in a car. There is rules how you transport a Torah scroll, the whole thing. So that's a little bit more complicated. We have another package that is $4,800 to plan everything. It's 2 events basically, and I'm happy to give a $2,000 discount for whoever will choose this one. And of course, doing a tour with us, because at the end, we're not charging it to organize, to really make money out of it. We make money from the commissions. It's really going to cover the hours. And if we're doing the tour, we have another stream of income from the hotel bookings and the touring, so we can really give a discount. So I think I will give that as a discount to everyone that are listening. I think it's worth doing it no matter what, if it's with us or with any other event planner. It's worth it because at the end, the value that they bring is phenomenal.
For sure, I can agree with you as a bar mitzvah myself in Jerusalem, as my bar mitzvah ceremony. So again, thank you, Bnei, for another great episode with a lot of great knowledge.
No problem. It's welcome. I think we're going to talk about Bnei Mitzvah in some other episodes for sure, as well. I think we touched only the surface of it a little bit to understand what are the locations, but everyone is welcome even to get, with one of our experts for 15-20 minutes, a Zoom call. This is free of charge to understand when to come, what to do it, how to fit the right place and the right location. I think that's really meaningful, because this is a great present to a family and a great alternative that we see more and more happening. Because when you throw a party like everybody else doing, it's not the same meaning for the family coming up together for a celebration in the holiest place for the Jewish people.
Sure.
Thank you for that episode. Thank you for sharing your bar mitzvah story.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Bnei, and thank you everyone for watching and listening, and see you next time. Bye-bye. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Thanks for tuning in to Israeli Adventures. I hope you had a blast exploring the luxury vacation scene here in Israel. Stay adventurous, keep embracing the fun, and let your wanderlust lead you to extraordinary experiences. See you next time for more fantastic escapades, safe travels, and endless joy to all our awesome listeners from Bnei Levine.